Hey everybody, it's Michael from Wahoo Comics here with the first of a new video series where I'm going to start highlighting different characters that I love and that I'm investing in, and then talk about 5 different keys at 5 different prices, so that if you love this character and you also want to invest in them, then you can find a comic that you can start hunting for that falls within your budget, whether it's a low one or a high one. And so today we're going to get started by talking about Galactus, who I think is just an awesome character, but who I think also is a good character to be speculating on for investment purposes, because I think it's inevitable that at some point in the not too distant future he's going to show up in the MCU. And when he does, all of these books, of course, are going to rise in value. Now, I don't think it's necessarily going to happen in the next year or two, so I don't think you have to rush out to get these books, but now is the time to start hunting for them, I think. Again, who knows if he's going to show up, but we do know that Marvel has started to develop the cosmic part of the MCU. Obviously, we have the Celestials and the Eternals. We have a Nova project that's being developed, and we also know that the Fantastic Four movie is coming out in the next probably 2 or 3 years. And those are just signs to me Galactus is coming. And so if you believe that and you like the character, here are 5 books that you could start looking for. So if you're on a budget of $5, a book that I really like is Fantastic Four number 391. And the reason I like this book is that, first of all, the cover is an homage to Fantastic Four number 49, which contains the first cover appearance and the first full appearance of Galactus. And me personally, I'm a sucker for homage covers. I just think they're really neat. And so for that reason alone, I think this book is just a fun one to pick up. Again, we're talking about basically a dollar bin book, and so it's not like you're investing something that much into it. And so if it never takes off, that's fine. You know, it's just a cool book to have in your collection. Again, if you're a fan of Galactus, or if you're a fan of the Fantastic Four, it's just cool to have a book in that run in your collection. But in addition to that cool cover, there is reason to speculate on this book because it contains the first appearance of Vibraxis, who is a Wakandan who is infused with vibranium, as well as the first cameo appearance of an Inhuman named Devlor. Now, most of you are probably like, who are these characters? I've never heard of them. And I think that's probably true. It's only recently that I have heard of them while I was actually researching for this video. I didn't know these characters. So they're certainly very obscure, but something that's been happening in the MCU is that Marvel has started to bring some really obscure characters into their TV shows and movies. So recently, just Moon Knight, we had Arthur Harrow and the Silver Scarab that debuted. It's been announced in the upcoming Marvels movie. There's this random Kree doctor that was in one issue of Silver Surfer number 8 that's going to have an appearance there. And if you saw the She-Hulk trailer, it looks like Frogman is going to be in that show. And so these characters who have 1 or 2 comic book appearances are all of a sudden being brought into these shows. And if you've been paying attention, whenever that character shows up, when Arthur Harrow was confirmed, Moon Knight number 2 went from a $1 book to like a $50 book overnight. And so in Wakanda Forever, if all of a sudden you see Vibraxis, then all of a sudden this book goes from a $1 book to a $50 book. Now, is that going to happen? Probably not. I'm not buying it for that reason. I'm buying it because I like the cover and I like the Fantastic Four and I want to fill my collection with those books. But there's the bonus of this book could hit and skyrocket. And so for that reason, I like buying this book at $5. Now, if you've got $10 to spend, a book for $10 and under that I would be looking to get is Galactus the Devourer number 1. Because this is the first issue of the first Galactus solo series. And if you've been watching my videos or just paying attention to the market, you know that whenever a character comes to the MCU, once people have been priced out of their first appearance, they start buying into their first solo series, and that book rises in value. So for instance, about a year ago, I bought several copies of Black Knight #1, his first solo series. I got them for like $3 or $4. They were just dollar bin books forever. But then right before the Eternals movie came out, I sold all but the best copy that I kept for my own collection. I sold them all for like $40. And so if Galactus shows up, I can see the same thing happening with this book. It's about a $10 book now, but if he shows up, it could easily go up in value. So I like this one at $10. Now, if you're on a $25 budget, a book that I would be looking to pick up, if it were me, is Super Villain Classics #1. And so this is the first book where Galactus is the focus. It's not really his series like the other book I mentioned, but it kind of is. Obviously Galactus is the focus of it, and so it's the first book where, like Galactus is the character on the title of the book. And technically, the title is Super Villain Classics, but you don't really notice that. And in fact, it's kind of interesting. This is the only issue of that title. So I don't know if Marvel had plans to make more, and then not many people bought this issue. And so they ended up scrapping their plans for King or Doctor Doom or whoever. But regardless, this is basically the first Galactus issue. And this issue reprints stories from several different comics, and obviously in the past, that talk about Galactus's origin. His origin was revealed in bits and pieces in like different Thor issues and different Fantastic Four issues, and so this just kind of collects those origin stories and reprints them. But then it also expands that origin as it talks about how the sentience of the universe was the one who spoke to Galen, the person who became Galactus, and absorbed him so that he could be reborn later as Galactus. And it's kind of an interesting tangent. Many people believe that the Black Winter character that was introduced in Thor #5 in 2020 is this same sentience of the universe that we find in this issue, Super Villain Classics #1. And so if you're a fan of that character, the Black Winter, then there's an argument that this is technically that person's first appearance. And so again, I don't know if that character is ever going to show up in the MCU anytime soon, but another reason to buy this book. And again, if you're just a fan of the Black Winter. All right, now we're going to take a little bit of a jump and go to $100. So if you are on a budget of $100 and under, a book that I like is Thor. Get a mid-grade copy of Thor 168. First of all, it has this awesome battle cover between Thor and Galactus. And again, I'm a sucker for homage covers, but I'm also a sucker for battle covers, and I'm a sucker for Jack Kirby covers. And so just for the cover alone, I think this book is worth getting at that price. Obviously, it's a Silver Age book. So that's one of the big selling points of this book. But it also does contain part of the origin of Galactus. Like I said, it was kind of revealed over several issues, but this is one of those issues. And again, it has the first appearance of a very obscure character called the Thermal Man, who I don't expect to show up, but I certainly did not expect Arthur Harrow to show up in the MCU. So you just never know. Just a bonus reason to buy that book. And now that brings us to the Grail book. And there are really two books that fight for this position in my mind, and I could see arguments being made for either one, but I am going to pick Fantastic Four #48, which contains the first cameo appearance of Galactus, and across the front it has his name. It says The Coming of Galactus, and it has this awesome, maybe the best Watcher cover ever, and just obviously again an iconic cover. And it also isn't just like a bonus, but this is probably the reason why this book is more valuable than #49, which is the other book that I could see putting in this slot. 48 contains the first appearance of the Silver Surfer. And so what an awesome book to pick up. But I wouldn't blame you if you were looking just as a Galactus fan. if you picked issue number 49, because it is the first full appearance of Galactus and has his first cover appearance, as well as the first cover appearance of the Silver Surfer, even though the Silver Surfer is really tiny on the cover. And so if you wanted to put that in this slot, I don't blame you at all. But for me, I'm going to pick issue 48 because Galactus there's a full picture of him on the last page, and so I consider it his first appearance. And something really interesting about that I just found out this week when I was doing the research here is that the original costume or uniform, whatever you want to call it, for Galactus was red and green. And apparently Marvel realized right away that that was a mistake, because in the very next issue, 49, you see Galactus in his familiar kind of purplish costume. And so, yeah, even though it's literally the same moment from issue 48, Marvel realized, oh, this is not good, or something like that. And so they immediately changed. And even more interesting, when Marvel eventually started reprinting issue 48, in all the reprints, they recolor his costume so that he looks like the Galactus that we know today. So the reprints aren't red and green Galactus, but the original is. So I think that's just kind of pretty interesting. So something I meant to say at the beginning of the video, whenever I show these 5 keys, one of them is going to be one that I have recently picked up. And so which of those 5 did I recently picked up? Well, the thing that inspired me to start this series is that I recently got a Grail. Fantastic Four number 48. And so I'm kind of biased for sure when I say this is the one to have instead of 49. I might not have said that if I didn't pick up this book. But I am super happy to have this. This is certainly a low grade copy, but as they say, especially for these huge keys, low grade is better than low grade is better than no grade. And it's complete. The cover is fully attached, and it's a beautiful book, and I am super happy to have it. All right, well, that's going to bring me to start wrapping up this video. Of course, if you have not subscribed to my channel, I'd appreciate if you'd consider doing so. The more subscribers I have, not only does it help us grow, but it encourages me to put out more of these kinds of videos. And comment below if you like this format, if you like this video, if you found this helpful, and what character you would like me to highlight. It could be another villain like Galactus, or it could be a hero. Tell me who you would be interested in finding 5 keys at 5 different price ranges. Also tell me, is Fantastic Four 48 or 49 the true key for Galactus? Which one? All right, like the video, all those things to help out. I hope you enjoyed this. I enjoyed making it, and look forward to whenever I do the next one.